guys, it's Kelly, and I'm here to share with you today some reviews of the last 4 books I read. And you might be thinking that it's only been a week since I uploaded my last recent reads reviews. That's because I've read a lot of books this week. So I finished 4 books, and 3 of them I read in their entirety in this week, and then 1 I've been reading over the course of a couple weeks. And a lot of that amount of reading is because of this one right here. My husband's been out of town for 5 days. Thank God he comes home tonight. And when he's gone, it's just me at night taking care of Eliza. And she's had a really stuffy nose. And so for the last several days, she has woken up like every hour for half the night. And so sometimes I can't get back to sleep when she wakes me up. And so I end up reading. So like at least one of these books I read like half of the book in the middle of the night. So that's how you read more books, is just don't sleep and you read a lot of stuff. So I have 4 books to review today. So 3 of them are part of the Contemporary-thon, and then 1 was a buddy read. And so I'm going to start off with the buddy read and then go into the Contemporary-thon. And I'm also putting these in order from my least favorite to my favorite. And so my least favorite was this buddy read, and I buddy read a classic with Murphy Napier. She buddy reads all her classics. If you haven't checked out her channel yet, I will link it down below. And I'll link one of her classics wrap up, because then she has the list of which one she's reading in the next few months if you want to join in on her buddy read. And this month I read with her The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. And this is a classic sci-fi. And I've read a couple of H.G. Wells now, and this was not one of my favorites. So I gave it 3 stars. The thing is, H.G. Wells is really good at building suspense in my mind. So like the beginning of the book, I was really liking it. Like I was in it probably the whole first half, really enjoying it. I felt the mystery that was happening. I don't want to give you a lot of explanation since it's a short book. It's like kind of a novella. But the basic plot is that there is a man on a ship who then gets marooned on an island out in the middle of the Pacific, and mysterious scientific projects are happening by Dr. Moreau. The building of the mystery part and the suspense was really good. Like at the beginning I didn't really, even though I had read a more in-depth synopsis, I kind of knew what was going to happen. I still felt a lot of suspense on how it was going to play out and like what was going to occur on this island. So we reach a halfway point in this book, and there's a chapter that's actually called Dr. Moreau Explains, and that chapter is basically just a complete info dump. And so the entire chapter is, let's just explain exactly what's happening on this island. So it's a lot of the explaining, not like letting us actually like see what's happening in plot. And that chapter was long and really boring for me. From that chapter there was a lot of parts that I just wasn't really interested in. I kept putting it down. It actually took me a long time to read this one little book because it just was not interesting in that middle part. And then the ending was satisfying, and I liked the last couple chapters, so that raised it back up again. So that's why I gave it 3, because there were parts I liked, there were parts I really didn't like, and overall it was just average for me. And H.G. Wells always does kind of like morality mixed with technology, and I liked the focus on this one, which was morality linked to medical advancement. And it's kind of like, how much can we advance in our medical technology that it becomes past what is human, like when does it blur the line of humanity when we do medical advancement? And so I liked that topic. Before I continue with the next book, I just want to say, if the flow of the beginning part of this video was really like disjointed, it's because I had to keep starting and stopping because Eliza was just like, she didn't want to be down, she wanted to knock over my tripod, she didn't want to be held. So finally I just took the time to put her down for a nap. So hopefully we can continue with the next 3 books without interruption. Alright, so the next book, and so this starts by Contemporary-thon books. I ended up finishing 3 books for Contemporary-thon, 2 of which were on my TBR, but like normal, I have a 3rd that was not part of my TBR video. I just decided to read it. We'll get to that. So this one I did talk about. This is Open Road Summer by Emery Lord. I had read an Emery Lord book a couple months ago, The Start of Me and You, and I gave it 5 stars. And so this for the Contemporary-thon was my 5-star prediction, because I just kind of thought, well, I really liked her writing and story last time. I might really like it again. well, this did not live up to last time. It was good, but I really did like it. It just wasn't 5 stars for me. It was 4 stars, and I will tell you the 2 cons that brought down the star for me. But the basic plot of this is that it's a YA contemporary romance about a girl who decides to go with her best friend is a music star, a country music star, and decides to spend the summer on tour with her country star friend, and she joins her on the tour bus and goes to all of her shows in order to take pictures to build up her photography portfolio to enter in for college applications. And along the way, you know, there's a guy shows up on the tour and all this stuff. So it develops into romance, stuff like that. But what I like about Emery Lord and what I liked about the last one and this one is that it's not just about the romance. There is a lot in these books about the friendship. She writes really excellent female friendships. And that is why Emery Lord is going to continue to be like an auto-read author for me. Because I think she does an excellent job of writing female friendships. And that is something that is lacking, I think, in a lot of YA contemporaries. That sometimes, especially if it's a romance kind of book, it focuses more on the romance and then we lose the friendships. But she writes very natural, loyal friendships. And this is no exception. There's just 2 girls, friends, best friends, and I really enjoyed their friendship throughout the book. Also, what I like about her books is they're very readable. Like, I can read a contemporary fast, but with hers, it usually is like a day. And that is really fast for me. I'm not usually a book a day. But I can't like put her books down. Like even this one, I read it way past the time I was supposed to go to bed because they're just very readable and I just want to continue in the story and stay with these friends and this group of people. I also thought that the romance in this one was really naturally done. It wasn't like like jumping right into romance. It was very like building into a friendship and all that stuff, and I liked that aspect of it. So it felt, all the friendships and relationships, everything in this felt natural. So it was heading towards a 5-star with those things. But there are 2 things that I really didn't like, which were why it brought me down. They were bad enough that it brought it down a whole star. And one of them was I felt like the drama in this one was a little over the top. And I read a lot of YA books, and I expect that there's going to be more drama in a YA book than an adult book just because the characters are teenagers. Sometimes this is the first time they're going through these kind of emotions and experiences in life, so they might not be approaching them in a healthy way. They are still learning about their emotions, so expect there to be drama. Don't get me wrong. But this one, I felt like it got a little ridiculous in the drama. And actually, the male character in there is a time when he actually says that he's like, "This is ridiculous. You are being ridiculous." Like, that is like a direct quote. And I'm like, yes, dude. She is being ridiculous. And so it was just a little over the top with the drama. And I think that was the way Emery Lord was writing that character, making her very dramatic. But it just didn't work for me. It was like too much drama. I was like, come on, let's bring it down just a little bit. But so that was only like a 1/2 star that I took off for that. And then the other thing that I took a 1/2 star off for was this book had so much slut shaming, I felt. It was not like said, but it was in the main character's mind. But it bugged me specifically because it seemed hypocritical. Like, it wasn't just her like being jealous. It felt really hypocritical because this main character, I like how Emery Lord, how in the 2 books I've read, the main characters felt very different. Like, so she writes her main characters distinctively, and this one, many, many times, this main character has like talked about how the way she dresses, she's a strong woman and smart and intelligent, and she also dresses with really low-cut shirts and really tight clothes and always wears high heels. That's like a thing about her character, and I liked the way Emery Lord made her character both dress like that and be smart, because sometimes when people are dressed like that in books, the like author is trying to like put them in like the mean girl category or something like that. So I like that our main character dresses like that and still is shown as a strong, smart woman. But what I don't like is that even though she dresses like that, she several times is like slut shaming other girls for wearing tight clothing. And I just don't get that. Like, there was one specific scene that made me really angry where they're at a concert, because, you know, she goes to all of her friends' concerts, and there are these girls in the front row that are being fangirls, and she's talking about how their tops are so low that those on stage could see right down to their navel, and she specifically says something like, "Come on, girls, have some self-respect." And I'm like, excuse me, you were just talking in like a scene 10 pages earlier how you were holding your arms across your chest specifically so that your cleavage would be bigger to impress the male love interest. So what are you doing slut shaming those girls? Like, so that part really bugged me. And obviously I'm getting like upset. Like, it was enough that it knocked a really excellent story down, those two things, because I can't stand that. Like, you build a really beautiful female friendship and show a strong woman that dresses in tight clothing. Why do you have to go and put slut shaming in? Like, and not even have a consequence. Like, she never gets like, it never resolves as like that's a bad thing for her because it's all in her mind. So it never, like, she never grows from that, and that part really bugged me. But I'm hoping, since this is her first book, that kind of hypocrisy won't show up in the other books, because it wasn't in the other one I read, which was a more recent one. So sorry if I babbled a lot about that. It's just that part really bugged me. Like, slut shaming really bothers me, especially coming from one girl to another. Like, female hate, no, we don't need it. And so my next book, part of the Contemporary-a-thon, was The Method by Shannon Kirk. And this book is called different things in different countries. So I think that this is the British title, The Method, and I think in the United States it's called Method 1533. And so if you would like the synopsis, look for either title. This one I got on Thrift Books. That's why I think I got the British version. And after I bought it, I realized when I started reading it, there's actually a signed copy. So that's exciting. And I ended up getting this 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. This is a thriller, and I don't want to go into the synopsis, obviously, but if I just, the first line of the back is like, says basically all you need to know. And it's, imagine a helpless, pregnant 16-year-old who's just been snatched from the serenity of her home and shoved into a dirty van. Kidnapped, alone, terrified. Now forget her. And that is pretty much what it means. Like, by forget her, they're saying, forget her being alone and terrified. This girl is scheming and intelligent and cold, and so she's not a helpless little teenager. Kind of hearing that synopsis and reading that, this book, I wouldn't call this like the average thriller that has like, where it's going along and then has a big twist / reveal at the end. It's not like that. There's not like some big thing we're building up to. What I love about this story is that there are little surprises along the way, and like the action of the plot is what drives it. There isn't like some big reveal we're waiting for. And I love that, because sometimes when I write a thriller, you know, it's like you're suspense, you're waiting, and then bam, there's this big reveal, and half the time I'm like, oh, well, that was kind of a letdown reveal. Where since there's not a big reveal we're building up to, we're just kind of in this woman's mind, and like, girl, because she's 16, like in her mind through the whole thing, we're more like just seeing what's happening day by day and how her personality figures out the solution to this problem. I found this really intriguing. It kept me invested. And the whole second half of this book basically is nonstop action, like bam, 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 bam. And I couldn't put it down. Like, my mom was here that day, so I basically was like, you take care of the kids. I'm just going to sit down and read this book, because I was sitting and reading it during dinner. I just could not put it down. One thing that people say that they don't like is that they can't connect to this character because she is so cold, and that didn't bother me. So if you're somebody that has to connect to a character, you might not, because she is not like she's not somebody you relate to. She's not relatable at all. But I found her brain so fascinating that I didn't care that I couldn't relate to her and that she was a cold personality. Like, I was like, I want to know what she comes up with. So as long as you don't mind not being able to relate to a character, this is excellent and very unique for the genre. And then the last book, I don't actually have a copy, so I'll put a picture here, was Alex Approximately by Jenn Bennett. And the reason this was not part of my TBR, I picked this up for the readathon because I wanted a audiobook, and all the books that I picked in my TBR, I could not find the audiobook version on Scribd or from my library, so I just like went through Scribd and like, what do I want to listen to? And I picked this one because I had recently read a book by Jenn Bennett several months ago called Starry Eyes, and I really liked it, so I just thought, I've read her before, I'll check her out again. And this one I ended up giving 5 stars. I loved it. And I also really liked the narrator. The narrator is Amy Melissa Bentley, and I thought she did a great job. So this one, Alex Approximately, is about a girl named Bailey who was previously living with her parents are divorced, and she was previously living with her mom, and she decides to move to California for the summer to live with her dad, and then she's going to continue living there during the school year. And part of what brought her over there is that she has been talking online with this guy named Alex, who they are on this forum for old movies, and they both like classic movies, and they've been talking about them. And so when she moves out with her dad, Alex happens to live in the area where her dad lives, and she's hoping to meet Alex in person. So there's that part, and then also there's a whole plot about she gets a job for the summer at this like museum, and one of the security guards at the museum is a guy her age that she just can't stand at first. So this book has the 2 tropes that I love, and this is why I love this book and why I knew I would like it when I read the description. Was it's got the "you've got mail" kind of trope, you know, where she's like aiming to look for the guy that she's talking to online, and then it also has the like hate to love trope. So those 2 are the things I'm just sucker for, so they worked out, and I really liked both of them in this book. And I also enjoyed how the relationship developed over time. I am one of those that likes, I don't mind tropes. Like I said, I have tropes I like, but relationship tropes, I think they're fine as long as they feel natural. Like that you feel like these 2 people could actually be falling in love or be headed towards a relationship. I don't like it where it's a forced feeling just because we want to put this trope in. So I felt like it was a very natural buildup of a relationship, and I liked that. And there was a lot of like personal stuff each of the people were going through too, and so we still got to have some of that like personal growth as well. The only thing I want to say is that if you read the synopsis, I think if you read through the whole synopsis, it kind of gives some stuff away. And so if you want to go into it a little more blind, that might be advisable, because I feel like there's a part in the synopsis that gives away something that happens like 3/4 of the way through the book, and I'm not sure why they put it in the synopsis. I mean, like, we can make assumptions, but I don't think you should just lay it out in the synopsis, and that bugs me, because you don't know that it's something you're not going to know till that. And it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the book, but I kept spending the whole book thinking, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? Because it was in the synopsis, and so I was like expecting to hit this plot point sooner, and it didn't come until late. So I would maybe suggest only reading the beginning part of the synopsis. And that's it for me. I will see you next time. I've built up a few books. All right, bye.